top, you got your boy Lamar. We talked about game stacking, which is definitely viable in tournaments, but there are certain people you don't need to stack with. A couple today, I would say, would be Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton. You definitely do not need to stack with either of those. Those guys you can run naked. They kind of vulture some of the red zone touches from other people as they run them in. I'm sure Lamar will be the most highly owned, most popular quarterback by miles. Totally understandable. I think if he has a ceiling game and you're not playing him, you're fucked. So, there's that. But I think his average range of outcomes is comparable to a lot of other guys who are cheaper. So I'm probably not going to have as much of him as the field in my tournaments. And I doubt I'll get to him in cash either, because I just think there's better plays that allow me to pay up at the running back position a little bit more, which is really what I want to focus on in my cash games. But yeah, definitely nothing wrong with Lamar. Next, you got Russell. Russell's great. I mean, I can't say cash, tournament, play him. Stack him. If you're going to stack that game, maybe you go, you got to decide. Do you want to go Lockett? Do you want to go Metcalf? Do you want to do both? I prefer Metcalf for a little savings. Especially if I think that, and I do think that Seattle's going to be winning this game. If you think they're playing from behind, I think Lockett's probably more of a longer bomb kind of receiver, even though he doesn't have the red zone targets. So maybe he's the way to go. Neither of them are wrong, but I'm probably going to go with, I think the way that most of my stacks worked out with Russ, I think I was running Metcalf more and, a tight end, something along those lines. And then for the bring back, it's going to be popular Julio. I like Ridley there for some savings too, because he's another red zone monster. But either are fine. They're both going to produce. They both have solid matchups. Jones does have a bit of a tougher matchup than Ridley in this one, but it'll be okay. If you want to run back the other way, with Matty Ice and Julio, or Matty and same thing. You either pick a, I'll tend to opt more for like the red zone targets. So I'll take a tight end and that number 2 receiver. That's usually the bigger red zone threat on both teams. But either way is fine. Let's see. Moving along. Josh Allen's great for tournaments. He definitely has a higher upside. His floor is pretty low, though. I shouldn't say it's pretty low, but I mean, he's unpredictable, right? He had some accuracy issues with the long ball last year. That was one of the big flaws in his game, so maybe he cleans that up and crushes. Definitely want to throw him in my tournament lineups, especially at that 3% ownership, but I'll probably stay away from him on most of my cash games. Johnny fucking Foxborough. What can you say about this guy that hasn't been said or made up about him already? He's going to like to throw to the backs, and he's going to throw intermediate routes. A lot of people are questioning his long ball, so it's really going to come down to health of receivers. If Mike Evans plays and he's healthy, he's going to have a really tough matchup. That's going to give Ridley a lot of opportunity. Godwin, a lot of opportunity in the slot and on the outside. I feel like if Evans is out, it makes Gronk a better play. He's a little bit cheaper. Tom trusts Gronk. All the reports from camp say that Gronk looks the best. He's looking like 6 years. That year off really gave him a lot of time to heal up. He's been doing the TB12 method, eating them fucking avocado ice cream shakes or whatever the hell they're doing over there. Whatever gets you at Giselle, man. You do your thing. So I'll be looking at them. There's also a kid they drafted. I forget his name. We'll look at the wide receivers when we get there. But there's if Evans is out, there's a kid they like in the slot. I feel like it's a W name. You know how Brady likes those little white boy pygmies in the fucking slot. So that might work out well, too. The Welkers and the Edelmans of the world. This is another guy I think he had a good camp with. But, of course, we had no preseason, so we can't really watch. Conor Murray's dead to me after what he did last year, but who knows? Maybe they'll come back and bite me in the ass. You got to take a stand somewhere. I probably won't get much of him. Wentz is an intriguing option right there. One of the things people got to understand about Wentz in this game is it's going to be completely dependent on D-Jax, right? Desean Jackson, friendly neighborhood freaking anti-Semite. Hopefully Edelman took him to that museum, like you said. But he makes quarterbacks about as efficient of a quarterback when he's on the field as anybody since like Randy Moss. So the way he stretches the field, his target share, all that. So if he's playing, I like Carson Wentz for cash and for tournaments. The only downside of this matchup I see on the Wentz side is he probably will take a few sacks. The Philadelphia O-line is banged up. A couple people already out. A couple people had to move over. Washington has one of the best front sevens in football. And I'm actually playing Washington defense and special teams quite a lot, and probably way more than I should this week in a lot of my lineups because they're real cheap. I tend not to spend up. Last year I spent up on the Patriots a bunch because they were breaking the slate, scoring a touchdown every week. Don't know that it'll be the case this week. I mean, Patriots defense will be popular against Fitzmagic, but as good as their secondary looks, the Pats lost a lot of their front seven there to the COVID and training and whatever, so we'll see. Aaron Rodgers is always a safe play. His range of outcomes is always good. I think he's fine for cash and for tournaments. His primary receiver has a good matchup this week, so that's not a bad stack to look at as well. Matty Stafford, this is interesting as well because Golladay looks like he might not play. If Golladay doesn't play, that creates a lot more pressure on Jones Jr. I like that combo. I have some stacks built with Stafford and like either Amendola, Hawkinson, I think is the tight end, some bring back stuff. A lot of people will be going there. That's fine for tournaments. Maybe if Galladay's not there, you stay away on the, it might not be the most optimal play for cash this week. Cam Newton, you can play naked. You don't need a stack. He's good for cash. I got him in a bunch of lineups. He's good for tournaments. You already know the guy could go off for God knows how many fantasy points. It looks like he's a lot healthier than he's been. The shoulder's a lot better than it's been. He's gotten a lot of rest. The only thing I worry about with Cam Newton is Nikhil Harry looked like a bit of a bust last year. I mean, they got Edelman in the slot, which is great. But, I don't know what kind of downfield targets he's really going to be looking at this year. We'll find out, I guess, on Sunday. They do have a couple of good young tight ends, so he does have some people to throw to. But, if the defense is just going to key in on him, load up the box, and, take away those crossing routes, it's really going to force Cam to scramble and beat you and kill Harry. And, it'll be interesting. Either Harry and, maybe White to a lesser extent will have really good games, or, he might just have to run on his own, and he's certainly capable of doing that, and I definitely think one way or the other he's probably going to have a good fantasy day. Don't mind him in either. Phillip Rivers, more of a tournament play for me this year. I will say Hilton is healthy and has a good matchup, so that's not a bad stack either. Teddy Bridge can go die under a bridge for all I frickin' care. Derek Carr, they lost Williams for the whole year. So it's kind of interesting. I can definitely see people playing that, Waller, the tight end stack with him. They drafted this kid. I forget his name, but he's fast. He looked like a good pick. So, with that being said, that could be an intriguing play. I forget his name. I'm sure I'll know it after this week. Also, Renfro running in the slot on DraftKings, especially full PPR. Not a bad cheap play. With all the attention paid to Waller and whoever they just drafted, whose name I can't remember, that might be a thing. And I'm super professional over here. I'm getting a lot of Jacobs. Because of that. That guy has a high usage. Jimmy Garoppolo is made out of crystal and china, so he could get hurt in the first play. If not, I'd put him in the tournament lineup most I'm not going to this week. He's not my player pool. Minshaw, yeah, dude, your team's terrible. Most of these other guys, probably going to stay away from. Mitch Trubisky in some tournaments if you want to get super contrarian. His ownership is creeping up, but his receivers have very good matchups this week. And, if he gets back to the Mitch Trubisky of a few seasons ago, he's still a not good real quarterback, but, he was a better fantasy quarterback a few years ago when he was running more. So we'll see. Fitzmagic, usually I'd throw in a tournament, but not this week, not against the Patriots. Forget that, dude. That secondary is good. Yeah, I mean, if I take anyone at all from that side, it would be like their tight end, Gesicki, or whatever his name is. That dude's a freak. All right, so running backs. Obviously, CMC is going to be the highest owned. 10,000 is a lot. I don't mind him for cash or for tournaments. You just have to find value elsewhere and hope that your value picks work. I'm probably going to be more inclined to build with like Eckler and Jacobs and Mixon and Carson and guys like that. I'm probably staying away from Kimura because Tampa Bay has an extremely good pass defense, and a lot of people are going to be on him anyway. Obviously, he's going to get a lot of receptions out of the backfield, but does he get in the end zone? That's a question. He's not a bad play. I mean, I'll throw him in some tournament lineups, but I'm way lighter than the field on him. I skipped Cook, but Cook's another good play for tournaments, and cash, whatever. He's just, it's a little expensive. I'm looking more mid-range this week. With my boys Eckler, Jones, Jacobs, Mixon here, Carson. James White, tournament only for me this week. Gurley, tournament only. They intend on starting Gurley in Atlanta, but he's had those knee issues, so he might be on a bit of a restriction. White, I see this guy having a pretty productive day because Cam just doesn't have a lot of targets. And then also there's going to be limited reps for Sonny Michel. He's still working out some injuries. White, Burkhead too, for a real cheap like dart throw for fantasy purposes only on DraftKings and only in tournaments. I like that. Montgomery, he's working away some health stuff. I'll probably stay away from him. I might have him a little bit sprinkled in. Same thing with Mostert. I'll sprinkle him in a few tournaments. I'll add him to my, we'll see when we crunch. But, part of the problem with San Francisco is they're all over the place. They don't really funnel. They spread it all over the place. And, until we get a baseline on what they're doing this year, it's hard without Camp. Same thing with Le'Veon. Not exactly sure how he's going to fit in. He's a bit of a head case. But if I'm going, he's going to catch some balls, so I'm going to put him in some, I'll probably put him in some GPP lineups, but I probably won't like it. Nothing's comfortable about the Jets this year except for playing against them. Mark Ingram, definitely like him, more of a tournament play. Mac I like for cash a lot, for value. He's a monster. He's going to run through Jacksonville. Jacksonville does not look good. I feel like Indianapolis is going to be playing from ahead, so look for some Mac. They like to give him the ball out on the red area too, so some touchdown upside. Cohen for tournaments, he could be a receiving threat. Michelle for tournaments, but he's going to have limited reps. Carry on, I like in both. If you want a cheaper value guy for cash, that might be a good way to go. Same thing with Thompson. He can receive a bunch. So, he looks good, especially for DraftKings full PPR. Now we're getting down to the barrel, bottom. Singletary and Jones, I don't mind for tournaments. Kareem Hunt. We're just not sure. There's going to be a timeshare there, so we got to kind of figure out what's going on. That's pretty much all I'm looking at. You got High in there. He'll probably make it in a tournament lineup. If I do 150, maybe he's in like 5%. Same thing with Coleman. If I do 100 lineups, he might be in 10 of them. For tournaments. Gore kind of the same thing. That's all that really matters down there. Let's go to wide receiver. Cheers, everybody. First time through all this stuff. It's spicy. It's a little different than their normal extra añejo. All right, let's Make sure we get the salaries right. Starting at the top, Michael Thomas will probably be the number 1 owned guy on the slate. I've got plenty of him in both cash and tournament. No problem playing him. He's got a great matchup. Game's supposed to shoot out. That's what you're looking for. Julio, I'm probably going to stay away from just because I like the other guy better. I like Ridley. He gets more red zone targets. Doesn't have as tough of a matchup on the other end. Devontae Adams, full play, full send. Godwin, is very dependent on Mike Evans. If Mike Evans ain't playing, I'm probably taking him out of my cash lineups. Only a little bit of tournament with stacks. If Evans is in, Godwin looks to be a very good play today. D-Hop, I'm not going near. I mean, I know I have him in my player pool for tournaments because, it's hard to sleep on the guy, but he's got really tough matchup against that secondary of San Francisco. Thielen's like their only receiver now, so I got to play him a bit. High volume, DraftKings, you get that extra PPR. More for tournaments. Allen Robinson, cash and tournaments. This guy's got a killer matchup. The only question there is Mitch Trubisky ever going to learn how to play quarterback? Tyler Lockett, great, especially game flow dependent because obviously his usage is going to go up if they're trailing or if it's a closer game. I definitely like him, although I think I stated earlier I'm probably going to be heavier on DK. Diggs looks like he could be a good tournament play. I'm not going to play him in cash because, like I said, Allen, still not sure if this guy can really, hit that touch pass, that long ball well or not. That was the one flaw in his game. The kid looks good, all in all, but Diggs is definitely dangerous. Allen, definitely another guy, high volume. Definitely more of a tournament play for me this week, though, because I just do not know what that team is going to look like without Phillip Rivers. DJ Chark, another tournament guy only. Ridley's good for cash and tournaments. I definitely got a bunch of him. He sees a lot of targets in the red area. That's kind of what you want. He's a volume guy. Boyd for tournaments only. Edelman. Any other year I'd say full send, but this year I'm thinking tournaments only. Devontae Parker against that New England secondary. I'd throw that in a few tournaments, but I don't know about cash. He's definitely going to get usage. Him and Gesicki on that side of the ball. Landry, Landry against Baltimore's number 2, that's not a terrible matchup. Probably have him in some 20s. OBJ, same thing on the other side. The only thing I don't like about this game is that, we'll have to see again this year because we have no sample size, but last year the Ravens just grind, right? They just control time of possession. So that really limits the opportunities of the people on the opposing side. So, less opportunity, less fantasy, less routes run, less targets. How that goes. Metcalf we love. T.Y. Hilton I love for cash or for GPP. He just looks like a really solid play this week. Sanders, I like him a lot too for cash and tournaments. They're gonna need to use somebody besides Thomas. Tampa Bay has a miserable secondary, and whatever they do, they probably will put some more pressure to throw to somebody else. So hopefully Sanders is the one who soaks up a bunch of those reps. Green not so much. I love the F1, man. This dude won me a bunch of cash last year. Going back to the well this year. Terry McLaurin. Either game is fine, cash or GPP. John Brown, probably tournament only, maybe make a stack with Buffalo. Jones Jr. looks like a really good play if Golladay is in for both. If Golladay is out, probably just tournaments for me because he's going to see a little bit more attention there. And then you're going to maybe pivot to like Amendola or Hawkinson or, another target. Crowder's in my tournament only kind of stack. Same thing with Hollywood Brown. Just very game script dependent. Kirk as well, tournament only. I don't mind Miller for either. I should throw him in that, with that matchup. Detroit does have a terrible secondary. Just awful. Terrible. D-Jax, if he's playing, I like this guy a lot for tournaments. You stack him with Wentz. Dola we talked about. Robbie Anderson, not a bad play either for Carolina. They have to throw a ball to somebody, right? And this dude's got a lot of speed. Could definitely break out, get you some tournament points there. Same thing with Samuel. I'm going to stay away from Dede this week. Renfro I like because, I mean, they can't pay attention to everybody if Waller's all bottled up, if Jacobs, this dude should get open for some very high volume, low distance kind of stuff. Sanu got cut, I think. Preston Williams, I actually do like him for tournaments. He matched up pretty well against the secondary of the Patriots last year, so maybe we could see him get on the action. That's a bit of a dart throw, get you a little value down here at the bottom. Nikhil Harry, same thing. Tournament only. Just a cheapo. Yeah. Scotty Miller. That's the guy. Scotty doesn't know. That's the guy. That's Brady's new binky. See what happens there. Quan Swift. Tournament only. I probably just marked him because this guy won me so much freaking money. I think the best I ever did at a showdown slate was it was a game. I think it was last season, and man, he went for like 2 or 3 touchdowns. He was like 3,000 and change. Nobody had him. Oh man, all right, thank you, Quan. Yeah, I don't really care. After that, it's looking pretty bad, folks. All right, let's get tight ends in here. Tight end position is an interesting position. If you watch my previous tutorial, I usually punt. I go for value. Up at the top, I definitely like Kittle more than Andrews. They're both viable for cash tournament. I like Waller as well for cash and tournament. Ertz is cash tournament viable as well. Cook, more tournaments. Henry, more tournaments. But, I'm sure he'll get volume enough to be cash. I have Hayden Hurst in my stacks in a bunch of tournaments with DK on the Seattle side. Most of these guys down here are fine for, fine for your GPPs. Gesicki, GPP, Hooper, GPP. I do like Hawkinson a lot for cash and for GPP for some value, especially if we'll have to pay attention to the injury news before the game. Let's see. GPPs. Most of these guys just GPPs. I'm not really looking to play cash with a lot of these guys. You never know, but just you want for the sake of safety's sake. Yeah. Anyway, let's get out of here. Let's look at defense and special teams. Call it a day. I'm losing my voice. Mostly from screaming at the Raptors and Celtics game last night. Up at top, Bills will be popular. I don't really like spending up, so I'm not going to get there. I'm not really going to pay for any of these guys. I might take a shot or two at the Patriots. Mostly where I'm going to be looking is down here at the Washington football team. Like I said, these boys, it's real cheap, and these guys put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks, and Carson Wentz is dealing with a crappy O-line. You don't need to hit a home run with defense and special teams. Like, I'm not going to waste $1,500 that could get me a halfback that gets 20 touches instead of a halfback that gets like 8. It's just the opportunity cost isn't there for me. So that's probably where I'm going. That smells nice. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day with that, make a sandwich, and I hope all you guys make some money this weekend. Hopefully I do too. Enjoy it. We have football back. It's great. And thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let's fight that YouTube algorithm. We'll see you next time. Thanks.